Hey everyone, in this first video we're going to go over how to move a scan from Polycam to Slicer and then output that in a file for um, lightburn. So I've been going through my scans here and I got some good ones, but you have to play with the kind of level of detail with this. So you're going to have to go through this process a couple of times in order to kind of get the version you want. And I kind of like this guy here. Um, Something about cleaning supplies I think is kind of interesting to kind of create icons out of them, monuments even. Um, there's some interesting possibilities there conceptually. Um, so you have a couple of options here. So in this particular video, I'm going to go straight from Polycam to Slicer for Fusion 360. And if you're using Polycam, you can activate the trial and you will be able to access the pro features here on the desktop. If you don't want to do that, you can export these from the Pro app. Just save them to your file system on your phone, and then you can get them over to your computer. I like to use Dropbox, but you can use files on a Apple machine. Maybe G Drive on an Android. I'm not really sure. So in here, I'm just going to look. I don't have anything to crop. If you did need to crop, you would come over here to the crop tool. Select that and then draw the handles in to crop out the areas you don't want. Now it's easier to crop in these software, Polycam or Scaniverse, if you just have a kind of standard crop to do. So do it there first. Now I'm going to go to click the download button. Um, Slicer for Fusion 360 will take a couple of different files. Ones that seem to play well with are these OBJ files and these STL files. So let's go up here and let's just do OBJ. I like OBJs, a little bit smaller. Click on that. You'll see it's highlighted there, and then come down and click the export button. You're going to save it. Name it specifically. I'm going to say Comet Cleaner. I have a folder of 3D scans here. I'm just going to save it in there. Notice it is saving as a zip archive. Okay, so you can't use it until you unzip that. So we're going to save. Now we're going to go to that folder. There it is, Comet Cleaner zip. Double click, and that's going to open up a folder. And you can see in the folder we have textures and a MTL file and an OBJ file. The OBJ file is the one we want. So we're going to open up Slicer for Fusion 360. Here's our window. We need to come up here and hit Import. Click on that. You're going to find the folder that you saved it in. In my case, it's in Dropbox. 3D scans. It'll be in the Comet Cleaner folder, and there is the OBJ file. Let's click Open. We'll import that, and here we are. So it plays pretty well with these OBJ files, straight from Polycam. You can see it's got a little bit of texture to it, but it's oriented the right way. The bottom is the bottom. If you want to look at it, you can grab this little box here and just drag it like that, and that'll sort of let you see most of the way around it. You can also click this little button here, and that'll change your cursor, and you can sort of roll it around like that. Alright, let's move through our panel here. These were all the settings and tools that are in this program. So the first one we're going to go through is the manufacturing settings, and what we need to do is change this to custom. This is the size of our cardboard that we're going to be making these things out of. And if you notice, this brought up this down here at the bottom of the page. So we need to make sure, so this is the material size. We make sure we're in inches if you want to work with inches. I like inches. I'm going to highlight that width, and that is going to be 30. The length is going to be 20. Now make sure this matches your cardboard. So your cardboard may not be quite this big, or it may be bigger and you have to cut it down. As remember, the large laser cutter only takes a 30 by 20 sheet. Okay, now the thickness on the cardboard is generally a 1/8 of an inch, which is 0.125 inches thick. Don't worry about the slot offset or the tool diameter there. So we just click out of that. Now let's go back up here and we're going to go to the object size. So you want to scale this. You know, one of the parts of this project is scaling or skewing. We'll go over skewing in a different video. The scaling can happen here. So you have height, width, and length. So we know our height is the vertical height there. We're not sure exactly where the length and the width is, but we can find that out. Now notice if I just scale this number, this is 8. Let's say I want to make this thing 3 feet tall. So I'm going to go 36 and hit return. You're going to see it sort of jumped here. The reason is it made it bigger and then it backed the camera off. And if we look, it's now 36 by 11 by 14. So it scaled those proportionally. So if we want to change that and change the scale so it's not proportional, if we want to modify that, we're going to go over here and click on this little radio button here called Uniform Scale and turn that off. Now, let's say we have 36. Let's say we want to figure out which one's which. So the width is at 11.208. Let's change that to 20. And hit return. That was sort of offset from the center. So what that did was that sort of skewed that just a little bit that way, while still kind of making that kind of fatter like that. Now if we go to the length, which is 14, let's change that to like, let's go about in half at 7. 7 and hit return. So what that did was made it skinnier in that direction. Okay, so that's not a very interesting thing. That's more of a 2D object. We want a 3D object. So what we can do is go back over here and click this this little button here called Original Size, and that's going to make that the original size. We can scroll in like that. You notice we're back to actually less than an inch in size. So remember I mentioned in class that these programs don't play well together as far as the actual size of these objects. So what I'm going to do then is scale that back up, unclick Original Size button there, and let's click on Uniform Scale. We're going to click that, go to 36 again. Now we're back up to 36. Alright, so this is going to set our final size. Okay, so we have the paper set, the cardboard, and we have the size of the object. These don't have to be the same. It doesn't have to fit on one sheet of paper. Now we're going to go down. We're going to go to construction technique. Select you can look through these. These are pretty cool, but the one we're interested in is folded panels. Click on that. You're going to see it turns into this kind of faceted thing. Now, if you look over here, these are the pages it tells you. Now, these red ones mean there's a problem because the shapes run off of the page. But that doesn't really concern us because what we need to do is come over here and hit split panel. So we don't want to make this a folded, like a origami thing you'd fold out of one sheet of paper. We want to split those panels so we can construct it out of other things. So right now, with our 30 by 20 sheets of cardboard, we'd need 5 sheets. It's 212 pieces. So the detail on this is pretty nice, but let's see what we can do to kind of change that up and get us a fewer number of pieces here. So we're going to go to vertex count, and we're going to that down arrow and drop that down. You're going to see this number drops as well. So let's go down until it really seems like it is not the same object. That looks like a little Star Wars robot, not a cleaning supply. So we need more things, more polygons. We're going to go back up. That looks a little bit better. We probably could get away with that. So, excuse me, we'll go with that. That still gives us 5 sheets, 89 pieces. So, with fairly large pieces for the most part. Don't worry about this add remove seams. That has to do with if it's folded. Now the joint part, let's take a look at these up a little close. The default is diamond. So let's click on one of these and kind of zoom in on it. Remember, we discovered this in class. These have these little tiny numbers on these little joints there. That should tell you what is the piece that goes next to it. Now obviously we can't really see that. So we're going to click on that diamond again, and now we have the diamond joint in inches. I see the tick radius, or the radius of that little shape there, is 0.0625. So let's adjust that with the up arrow. You're going to see these changed a little bit. Let's go one more time. And now take a look at the thing. These are much more prominent now. So your goal on this is to be able to see these numbers. And I think a diamond is a good choice because then you can either cut them off or fold them in. And that should give you the facet that this goes against, so the shape that this goes against. All right. Okay, so now we have our papers here. We need to export those out, so we're going to go over here and hit the Get Plans button. And that's going to give us the layout of the objects. We have a couple of file types. All our information is down here once again. This is our contextual toolbar. And we want to do DXF. So select DXF and then export to my computer. Okay. Now, if you want to put these in lightburn, that's your choice. You want to export to computer. You can also export these to PDF if you want to back up. An easy way to back them up. Or you can go straight to print if you want to print them, to a big piece of paper and then cut them yourself, which is a possibility. But we're going to do the DXF. We're going to click Export to my computer. We're going to change this. We're going to leave it in the Comet Cleaner folder. Change this to Comet Template. Let's do templates. It's going to make multiples. Hit Save. Now, that is going to export, once again, another zip file. So let's open a Finder. Here it is, Comet Template Zip. So double click on that. And now we have a folder that has 5 things in it. Okay. So here we're going to go over to lightburn. Open up Lightburn. Now remember, Lightburn is, it's a paid program, but they have very long trial periods, so you shouldn't have to buy it unless you want to get a laser cutter. Um, so we're going to open up our file in Lightburn. Now, it's a little tricky because remember, you're going to use this Lightburn file as your to drive the laser cutter. Now you can put all 5 of those files in. So let's go open file and go to import. We're going to select templates and make sure if you don't see this available, make sure right here all supported is thing instead of just Lightburn. Okay, just do all supported. It's a little easier if you do these one at a time. Okay, it gets a little complicated to import them out at the same time. So you're gonna go click 0 or whichever one you want. Click open, and there's your file. Now remember, these don't respect the sizes, so this is much smaller than we want it. So I'm going to click the corner and drag that up. Now the laser cutter is a little more horizontal than vertical, so I'm actually going to click on the corner of this when your mouse pointer changes to a little arc, and then drag that around to make it right way. Let's kind of center that. Now, so this isn't the right size. We need to make it the right size. So make sure it's selected. You can just draw a box around like that. Let's go to your width is 19. We know our width needs to be 30. Just get 30 in there, hit return, and that's going to make the height 20. Don't worry about this little decimal point here. It's close. It's close enough. Okay, so now we have this. Now it's probably easier to keep track of things if you do separate Lightburn files. Notice it has all your shapes and numbers, and these are separated out over here on different layers in Lightburn. So here's where your cut settings are. So the numbers, the red on the red layer, should have a this is backwards, should have a speed power that is much faster speed and lower power than the cut. So let's click on that. We want to do speed, let's go up to 100 and power down to say 40, or you can probably try 35. There is a little cardboard template in the laser cutter room that gives you an idea, because you just want these numbers to be etched in. Now we can click on this, and we want to go down in speed, down to, let's do like 40, and then power 70. And that should give plenty to cut. Always, it's always good to try this stuff. So here's your things. Remember the laser cutter processes. You want to do the framing, and then lay your cardboard under. Make sure it's flat. Check the depth of the laser head with the little tool, and start cutting and watch it. And if it doesn't do what you're looking first, you can stop it and then start again. Remember, it's easier just to run the laser from the Lightburn software. Don't use the things on the don't use the buttons on the laser cutter itself. Notice one thing here. Our numbers are lower in the layer stack than the outline, so we want to change that. So if I highlight one of those, and these little arrows will move them. So we want to do the etching stuff first and then the cutting. That way it won't move around when it's trying to do things or going to blow around. So now you're ready to go. If you're on your computer still, you can go to File and Save. We're going to save this one as 0, so we're going to save it Comet Template 0. I have a folder for the laser stuff already. I'm going to hit Save, and that's the one I want to drag onto my thumb drive to then put on the computer in the mix. Okay, that should give you enough info to get from Polycam through Slicer for Fusion 360 and lightburn, get you ready to go into the laser room.